Welcome to WP Theme Tutorial episode 61. Today we are going to learn how to add a folder to our site on plugin activation. My use case for this was needing to export orders from Woocommerce out to a custom file format so that an external service could read it and take care of fulfillment. What I've got so far is I have terminal open here and I am in my plugins directory. Let's see, WP content plugins, and all I have here is the stock plugins. So the first thing I'm going to do is make directory, and I'm going to call it WPTT make dir. That's right. Oh. Now I'm going to actually create my plugin file. I'm going to call it WPTT make dir.php again. Now I'm going to open it up with MacVim. And what I have here is a blank plugin file. And of course I've already practiced building this, so I'm going to copy over the base plugin to start. This is where I start all of my plugins. It's got our basic plugin header at the top. It's got our basic plugin header at the top, our GPL, declaration, and then we start to get into our class. First thing I do in our class is call admin notices to check required plugins. Since we're pretending this is for WooCommerce, I'm actually making sure that we have WooCommerce active. And then we call a register activation hook, register deactivation hook, and register uninstall hook. And those are three empty functions down here. And they run on activate, so when you turn the plugin on, deactivate when you turn the plugin off, and uninstall when you uninstall the plugin. The final thing I do is create a new instance of my class. If I install this, I'm going to save it and go to my plugins. See, I have it here, activate. It expects WooCommerce to be active, so the plugin has been deactivated. So the first thing I'm going to do is install WooCommerce. And then we'll activate it. And I'm going to skip the page setup because I don't really want those. And go back to our plugins. Now, if we activate, yep, plugin is activated. That's great, but here when we looked back at our activation, so this runs when we activate the plugin, and this is where we're going to build our new directory out of. So what I'm going to do for now is deactivate my plugin, and then we're going to start putting some code in here. The first thing I'm going to put in here is a call to a custom function. I do not like putting all of the logic in here, and I'll talk about why using the single responsibility principle out of Solid, and these links are in the show note. So the first thing I'm going to do is create custom directory or dir, and that is going to be this function right here. And this function creates our custom directory. You see, the first thing it does is actually check our custom directory. And if it's true, it's going to return. Now, you don't see this custom function yet. I'll come to that in a second. The next thing it does is define the URL variable. And the URL is WP content dir, which is a constant in WordPress, and that will give you the path to the WP content folder. And I want it to be uploads/WPTT custom, and then I'm going to use the function WP make dir p. That's going to create basically any file path you want recursively. So if I wanted a couple more levels of folders deep, I could just type or pass that whole value in as a variable, and it would do it for me, and it's going to set the file permissions properly. If you use the standard PHP functions to make a directory, you need to be super cautious about your file permissions. And the first time I did this for the client project, I actually used that and caught the file permissions messed up and couldn't do anything. Couldn't actually delete it from the server at all and had to talk to the hosting company, which was great. No, it wasn't actually great. But anyway, sticking with the WordPress convention because we have one is the right way to do it. Now we can loop back to our check function. Now, check function, again, defines URL, makes it equal to the value of the folder we want, and then checks if the file exists. If it does, we'll return true on line 78, and if not, we'll return false. And that's it. Now, you wonder why I decided to put that 5 lines into its own file. Again, the single responsibility principle out of Solid, which is just a best practice on how to write programs, or one of them. And that states that our function should only do one thing. So the job of my create function is to create it. The job of my check function is to check if it exists. That's it. It's not supposed to do other things. We don't put a bunch of other fancy logic in there. It does as little as possible every time. That can also help when you're building testable stuff and using tests to test them, because each function has one responsibility. And that's it. If I save this now, you can see right here, I've got uploads, and it says WooCommerce uploads because I have WooCommerce installed, and that's it. And I've added one file, and that's it. Just so we had an uploads folder already. So I will now go into here, I'll refresh. Well, you shouldn't really have to, and activate. And you can see I now have my folder WPTT custom. That's it. We've now created a custom directory in our uploads folder for any project. Thanks for watching.